The Sphinx is one of the most studied monuments. Yet Vasil wasn't convinced by any of the accepted archaeological explanations as to who created it.
Recently, a drone deployed by a team of researchers and scientists captured an image of something hidden in an Egyptian Sphinx. Because of this, Egypt shut down all access to the Sphinx. But it turns out that this isn't the first time a hidden secret about a Sphinx has been announced. It has also been revealed that these secrets have been revealed by a child prodigy a few decades ago. Who is this child prodigy? What has the drone discovered that now confirmed his long years' predictions? Will they affect the world in any way? Stay tuned, because what we're about to reveal will blow your mind. Boriska Kiprianovich. Claims about Egyptian Sphinx. The Egyptian Sphinx is a giant limestone statue with the body of a lion and the head of a human. This statue, located near the Great Pyramid, is believed to have been built around 2600 BC for the pharaoh Khafre. The Sphinx is already an object of great interest for historians and archaeologists. They have studied it for many years, trying to understand its origins and purpose. Some years ago, a young Russian boy named Boriska Kiprianovich made many unusual claims about ancient structures, particularly the Great Pyramid of Giza and the Sphinx. He said these famous landmarks held deep mysteries. He believed that a hidden switch or device was located behind the Sphinx's ear, which, when activated, would grant access to a secret chamber within or beneath the ancient statue. Boriska was convinced that this chamber held something truly extraordinary, a discovery that could potentially revolutionize humans forever. According to Boriska, this hidden chamber might contain ancient knowledge, advanced technology, or even extraterrestrial artifacts. Back then, his claims sparked widespread interest and debate, with some speculating that the Sphinx might be more than just a mere statue, but a gateway to a hidden world or a repository of forgotten knowledge. Boriska's interest in these mysteries started when he was very young. His parents, who did not teach him about these things, were surprised by his detailed knowledge. Before we go into full details and mystery of the Great Sphinx, let's take a look at some of the weird things about Boriska's life, why he ended up being called a child prodigy, and reasons we need to listen to him. From a very early age, Boriska showed amazing abilities that made him seem very special. People noticed that he could do things much earlier than other children his age. When Boriska was just 2 weeks old, he could already hold his head up. This was very surprising because most babies cannot do this until they are a few months old. Holding his head up so early showed that Boriska was physically strong and developing quickly. A few months after he was born, Boriska started to speak. This was another unusual and impressive milestone. Most babies begin to say their first words around their first birthday.
He said taco.
But Boriska was speaking well before that. His early speech showed that he was very advanced in his language skills. By the time Boriska was 18 months old, he could read, draw, and paint. Most children this age are just starting to learn basic words and how to hold crayons. Boriska's ability to read books and create pictures with paint and crayons was extraordinary. This showed that he had a very advanced mind and great creativity. When Boriska started kindergarten, his teachers were amazed by his skills. He could write very well, and his language skills were far beyond what they expected from a child his age. He also had an impressive memory. He could remember many details about things he had learned or seen. His teachers quickly realized that Boriska was a very special child with exceptional talents. One of the most intriguing things about Boriska was his claim that he had been a pilot from Mars in a previous life. He talked about this a lot, and he seemed very confident in his stories. Boriska described planetary structures and extraterrestrial societies in great detail. Boriska's descriptions of Mars and other planets were very detailed. He talked about what the planets looked like and how they were structured. He also described societies of beings that lived on these planets. These beings had their own cultures and ways of living. Boriska's stories were very vivid and detailed, even though he had not learned about space from his parents or teachers. Boriska's parents had not taught him about space or other planets. They were surprised by the things he talked about because they did not know where he had learned them. Boriska's detailed knowledge about space seemed to come from somewhere beyond what a young child could have learned on their own. Now back to what Boriska revealed about the Sphinx. According to Boriska, the Great Pyramid of Giza is not just a huge stone structure. Built thousands of years ago, around 2580 to 2560 BC, during the 4th dynasty of the Old Kingdom of Egypt, this pyramid was a tomb for the pharaoh Khufu. However, Boriska insisted it also had hidden rooms and passages that scientists and archaeologists have not yet found. He said these hidden parts of the pyramid contained important knowledge and artifacts that could teach humanity about advanced ancient technologies and forgotten histories. But what drew people's attention was Boriska's most intriguing claim involving the Sphinx. He said there is a secret switch behind the ear of the Sphinx. This mechanism, if activated, would unlock a hidden chamber inside or beneath the Sphinx. Boriska was confident that opening this chamber would reveal something shocking and surprising. He did not know exactly what this mechanism would unlock, but he believed it was something of great importance. Although the idea of hidden chambers inside or beneath the Sphinx is not new, over the years there have been many theories and even some explorations to find such hidden spaces. In 1987, a Japanese team from Waseda University, led by Sakuji Yoshimura, conducted a survey using electromagnetic sounding technology. They discovered cavities and tunnels around the Sphinx. But these findings did not lead to any huge new discoveries at the time. Boriska's claims added a new layer to these existing theories by suggesting a specific location for a hidden mechanism. Boriska's parents were puzzled by his knowledge. They said they never taught him about Egyptian history or archaeology. Despite this, Boriska could talk at length about the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx, describing their features and hidden aspects in detail. This led some people to speculate that Boriska might have a special connection to ancient knowledge. Perhaps he might be a time traveler. But without concrete evidence to prove his claim, these ideas remain just speculations. Are there any hidden truths to the Sphinx that even Boriska was not aware of? Let's find out. The Great Sphinx of Giza and its hidden chambers. It is believed that the pharaoh Khafre built the Great Sphinx of Giza. Khafre was a king in ancient Egypt. The Sphinx was made from limestone. It is very big, about 2,874 inches long and 787 inches high. Over the years, many people have wondered about the Sphinx. Some think it has hidden chambers and tunnels underneath. These theories come from both ancient stories and modern discoveries. In recent times, scientists have used modern tools to look for these hidden spaces. They use something called electromagnetic sounding surveys. This technology helps see what is underground without digging. These surveys were done in the 1970s and later. Scientists found cavities and tunnels under the Sphinx. These findings suggested there might be an underground network of tunnels. The surveys also showed there are empty spaces and passageways under the Sphinx. These discoveries made people think there could be more to find underground. Apart from these scientific means of exploring the Sphinx, there has also been photographic evidence of the hidden truths it contains. In the early 1900s, some photos were taken of the Sphinx. These photos showed something strange. There was a hole in the top of the Sphinx's head. People thought this hole might lead to secret chambers inside the Sphinx. This hole is not easy to see now. It has been covered or fixed over the years. Then in the 1920s and 1930s, more photos were taken. These photos showed more details of the Sphinx. Some photos showed cracks and openings in the Sphinx's body. People wondered if these cracks and openings were entrances to hidden tunnels or rooms. In 2006, a detailed photographic survey was done. Researchers used special cameras to map the Sphinx. They took many photos from different angles. These photos were put together to make a 3D model of the Sphinx. This model helps researchers study the Sphinx without touching it. In more recent times, modern technology has helped take even better photos. Digital cameras and imaging techniques have been used. These modern photos show very clear details of the Sphinx. They help researchers look closely at the surface of the Sphinx. Even with all these photos, mainstream researchers have not confirmed the hidden secrets. They say more studies are needed. Some researchers think the photos are not enough proof. They need more evidence to confirm the hidden truths. The existence of this photographic evidence has also led to many theories regarding the mystery of the Sphinx being created. For instance, like we mentioned earlier, some theories suggest that the Sphinx is much older than we think. Some researchers believe the Sphinx was built around 10,000 BCE or even earlier. They think this because of the weathering on the Sphinx. In the 1990s, a researcher named John Anthony West and a geologist named Robert Schoch studied the Sphinx. They looked at the weathering on the Sphinx's body. They noticed that the weathering looked like it was caused by heavy rain. But Egypt has not had heavy rains for thousands of years. Robert Schoch came up with the water erosion hypothesis. He said the weathering on the Sphinx was caused by rainwater. This meant the Sphinx must be much older than 2500 BCE, the time when Pharaoh Khafre was supposed to have built it. Schoch suggested the Sphinx could be as old as 10,000 BCE, a time when Egypt had a wetter climate. If the Sphinx is really that old, it means a lost civilization might have built it. This civilization would have been very advanced to create such a huge and complex statue. Some people think this lost civilization could be Atlantis, a legendary city mentioned by the ancient Greek philosopher Plato. There has been several pieces of evidence to support this theory. First off, the precision and scale of the Sphinx suggest advanced technology. The lost civilization theory says that people in ancient times had advanced tools and knowledge to build the Sphinx. Some researchers, like Robert Bauval, believe the Sphinx and the pyramids are aligned with the stars. Bauval suggested that the Sphinx and the pyramids line up with the constellation Orion as it appeared around 10,500 BCE. This supports the idea that the Sphinx is much older than we think. Now, even though it seems somewhat believable, many mainstream archaeologists and Egyptologists do not agree with the lost civilization theory. They say the weathering on the Sphinx can be explained by other factors, like wind and sand erosion. Some ancient texts and myths mention a time before the pharaohs when gods or advanced beings lived in Egypt. These stories add to the idea of a lost civilization. People who believe in the lost civilization theory think these texts might be talking about the builders of the Sphinx. The Sphinx might have had a special role for the lost civilization. It could have been a temple, a monument, or a guardian figure. Some think it was a symbol of wisdom and power. The alignment with the stars suggests it might have been used for astronomical purposes. It is not an uncommon fact that the history of most Egyptian artifacts are related to each other. But does this apply to the Great Sphinx of Giza as well? Let's get into it. The Sphinx's relationship with ancient Egyptian figures. The Sphinx is often associated with the Egyptian sun god Ra-Horakhti. Ra-Horakhti is a form of the god Ra combined with Horus, the god of the sky. This deity was seen as a powerful protector and guardian. The Sphinx, with its lion body and human head, symbolizes strength and wisdom. This fits well with Ra-Horakhti's attributes. The lion represents power, and the human head represents intelligence. Ancient Egyptians might have worshipped the Sphinx as an image of Ra-Horakhti. They would have made offerings and prayers at the Sphinx to seek protection and blessings from the god. Horus is another important god associated with the Sphinx. Horus is depicted as a falcon, or a man with a falcon's head. He is the god of the sky, war, and protection. Some theories suggest the Sphinx represents Horus in his role as a protector. The Sphinx's position, looking east towards the rising sun, aligns with Horus's connection to the sky and the sun. The pharaohs of Egypt were often considered the living embodiment of Horus on earth. This connection might explain why the Sphinx, with a pharaoh's face, is linked to Horus. That's not all. Thutmose IV was a pharaoh of the 18th dynasty, ruling from 1401 to 1391 BCE. He is known for the dream stele, a large stone tablet placed between the Sphinx's paws. According to the story on the dream stele, Thutmose IV fell asleep near the Sphinx while hunting. In his dream, the Sphinx spoke to him, promising that he would become pharaoh if he cleared away the sand covering the Sphinx. Thutmose IV cleared the sand and restored the Sphinx, fulfilling the promise. This act helped to preserve the Sphinx for future generations. But Thutmose IV was not the only person in his family that was related to this Sphinx. His father, Amenhotep II, was also linked to the Great Sphinx of Giza. He was another pharaoh of the 18th dynasty that ruled from 1427 to 1401 BCE. Some inscriptions and records suggest that Amenhotep II also paid homage to the Sphinx. Inscriptions found near the Sphinx mention Amenhotep II. These inscriptions show that the Sphinx was already an important monument during his reign. Ramses II and later pharaohs also made efforts to restore and preserve the Sphinx. Ramses II, also known as Ramses the Great, was one of Egypt's most famous pharaohs. He ruled from 1279 to 1213 BCE during the 19th dynasty. From these connections, we can easily tell that the Sphinx meant a lot to the Egyptians. The Sphinx was not just a statue, it played a massive role in ancient Egyptian society. The Sphinx symbolized the pharaoh's power and divine right to rule. It showed the connection between the pharaohs and the gods. The Sphinx guarded the Giza necropolis, the area with the pyramids and tombs. It protected the sacred site from evil spirits and intruders. The Sphinx was a place of worship and reverence. It was a symbol of the connection between the human world and the divine. The Sphinx appears in various ancient texts and myths. These stories give us clues about its significance and the beliefs of the ancient Egyptians. One of the most interesting beliefs about the Sphinx is that many people believe it holds the secrets of the universe. That if you stare into its eyes long enough, you will learn ancient knowledge and hidden truths. Others say they have seen the Sphinx's eyes glow with a strange light, inviting them to come closer. This light is said to appear only at certain times, like during a full moon or at a special time of year. Those who have seen this light describe it as both beautiful and spooky, like the Sphinx is alive and aware of them. The legend of the glowing eyes is one of the most intriguing parts of the Sphinx's mystery. People who claim to have seen the eyes light up often say they feel drawn to the statue, like it is speaking to them in a deep, spiritual way. There are a few reports of people saying that looking into the Sphinx's eyes can put them in a trance, giving them visions or insights. These visions are described as personal and important, offering guidance and wisdom. Another belief about the Sphinx is that it is aligned with the stars and planets. This means that its position and the way it faces are thought to match up with certain stars and planets in the sky. The alignment of the Sphinx with the stars and planets is also a subject of great interest. The ancient Egyptians were very skilled in astronomy. They studied the stars and planets and believed these heavenly bodies had a strong influence on life on Earth. Some researchers have studied the Sphinx's alignment and found that it faces the rising sun on the day of the spring equinox. This is a special day when day and night are of equal length, and it marks the beginning of spring. Some people believe this alignment gives the Sphinx special powers. They think that the Sphinx can control reality with its gaze. One interesting aspect of this legend is that the Sphinx's face can change expressions. Some people claim that when they approach the Sphinx, its face changes to match their moods and emotions. If a person is happy, the Sphinx might appear to smile. If someone is sad, the Sphinx might look sad too. It is hard to believe that a stone statue could do this, but many people have reported experiencing it. They describe feeling a strong connection with the Sphinx, almost like it is aware of their presence and reacting to them. But that's not all. There are certain beliefs that the Sphinx holds the key to eternal life. According to this belief, anyone who can solve the Sphinx's riddles and unlock its secrets will be granted immortality. The idea that the Sphinx can grant eternal life and holds ancient knowledge is tied to its role in ancient Egyptian culture. The Egyptians believed in the afterlife and spent much of their lives preparing for it. A typical ancient Egyptian believed that when a person died, their soul would travel to the afterlife. The journey to the afterlife was full of challenges and tests. To help them on this journey, the Egyptians built tombs that were like small palaces, filled with everything the deceased might need. These tombs contained food, clothes, jewelry, and even furniture. They also included texts such as spells and prayers to guide and protect the soul. The afterlife was structured in several stages. First, the soul would face a journey through the underworld, a place filled with dangers and obstacles. To help navigate this treacherous path, the Egyptians created the Book of the Dead, a collection of spells and instructions. This book was often placed in the tomb with the deceased. One of the key stages in the journey to the afterlife was the weighing of the heart. The ancient Egyptians believed that the heart was the center of a person's being and contained their thoughts and actions. In the Hall of Ma'at, the goddess of truth and justice, the deceased's heart would be weighed against the feather of Ma'at. This feather symbolizes truth and righteousness. If the heart was lighter than the feather, it meant that the person had led a good and honest life, and they would be allowed to enter the afterlife. If the heart was heavier, it meant that the person had committed wrongdoings, and their heart would be devoured by a monster named Ammit, resulting in the soul's destruction. Most recent research shows Sphinx may not have been built by humans. A recent research challenges the long-held belief that the Great Sphinx of Giza was solely crafted by human hands. historically attributed to ancient Egyptian craftsmanship dating back to around 2600 BC. However, a study conducted by scientists from New York University using drones and other sophisticated instruments, published in Physical Review Fluids, suggests a different narrative. The study proposes that nature, specifically erosion, played a pivotal role in shaping the majestic figure. Traditionally, the multi-layered body of the Sphinx was believed to be the result of meticulous human workmanship. Yet this new research introduces the concept that erosion, rather than deliberate construction, contributed significantly to the formation of the statue. If you look at this recent study, then it poses another layer of confusion about the mystery behind this structure. Led by senior author Leif Riestroff, the research team experimented with wind erosion on unusual rock formations known as yardangs. These formations, sculpted by wind in flat desert regions, provided a basis for the team's hypothesis. By replicating the conditions of northeastern Egypt with mounds of soft clay infused with a harder material, the scientists simulated wind erosion using high-speed streams of water. The outcome of these experiments yielded clay structures strikingly resembling the Great Sphinx, suggesting a plausible natural origin for the statue. Furthermore, the study's findings offer insights into ancient people's encounters with natural phenomena in the Egyptian desert. It proposes that unique rock formations, shaped by wind erosion, may have inspired the ancient Egyptians to transform them into the familiar lion-headed figure we recognize today as the Great Sphinx. So do you think the origin of this actually and the truth about the Sphinx? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, share with your friends, and subscribe to support the channel. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.